Hi guys, it's Juliet. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, then welcome. If you're a regular subscriber, then thank you so much. And welcome to the 2022 Christmas video. I think this is now my 7th year of doing a Christmas project. So last year I came up with 2 patterns. I shared one with you. This is the other one that I had come up with. Okay, he's a little gnome, and I absolutely love gnomes, but I'm still not happy with the pattern, and I've been working on him some more, and I have some ideas how to fix certain things that I don't like about it. But this is a very advanced project as well, and I didn't want you guys to be confused. I mean, you probably have holiday markets coming up and things. I know I have one coming up. So I came up with this little spiral candy cane bead, which is so adorable. You can use it obviously year round, maybe not in candy cane colors, but the idea of the spiral is very versatile. It's quick, it's easy, and it's effective. So we're going to learn how to make this beaded bead this year. And one thing I want to point out, so you see how there's 2 rows of white in between 1 row of red. Candy canes are not evenly striped. The stripes usually, some of them are fatter, some of them are thinner, which I think is what makes this look so much nicer than just a regular red and white stripe thing. You have to space it out more, you know, have some variation. So anyway, it's super cute. Let's learn how to make it. So quickly going through the supply list. You need a 10mm bead for the core. I'm using a pearl. It doesn't have to be a fancy pearl. It can be a cheap plastic pearl because it's going to be covered. But I will say you can see it in there. Now I'm using Miyuki beads. Maybe if you use Toho beads, it wouldn't be quite so gappy. It might cover it a little bit better. But anyway, I don't think you can really see it when you're just looking at it from afar. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, I can see the core bead here. So I'm going with it, okay? So 10mm, whatever, wooden, doesn't matter. Whatever is gonna blend well with your main color, which is the color that has 2 stripes, okay? Then I have some red 11-0 seed beads, white 11-0 seed beads of your finish and choosing and brand, whatever. Okay, I happen to have the frosted red here, Miyuki frosted red, and these are the Ceylon white. Then I have a head pin with a bead spacer on it because when I'm working, I need to be able to hold my hole where the ends are so that when I finish, I'm not digging around in my beadwork trying to find the hole of the bead. So we're going to work it on this. This is just a tool. It's not part of the ingredients of the piece. I just have this sitting on my desk at all times because it's useful to be able to just string it on and then continue beading, and then I know where my hole is. Okay, I'm not using the one that I'm going to be using for my earring, which is a gold one, because I don't want it to get bent. Okay, this one, like I say, it's just on my desk at all times. I use it for all sorts of things, and you can see it's a little bit. So, and then whatever findings you need. So I have some bead caps. I've got this little red 6mm fire polished, and then I've got my earring findings, little gold balls. So however you want to finish it, you don't have to do it the way I am. You can make bracelets with it. You can do whatever you want with this bead. I'm going to show you how to make the actual beaded bead. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So I have my beading needle and some thread. I'm using Fireline. You need about 2.5 feet, I'm gonna say, maybe 2 feet probably sufficient. I think I have about 2 feet. You don't need a lot. So if you're in Europe, I would say that's about 70 centimeters probably, okay? And you don't need to leave a huge tail, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew up to the top, and then we're going to wind our thread back down through the spiral and tie them together at the end, and then just weave the ends in. So you don't need to leave a lot, just enough to weave it in, which means, of course, we're not going to tie a knot at the very beginning either. Okay, so to begin, pick up 3 of your white beads onto your needle, push them down until you're about 3 or 4 inches away from the end of your thread. You don't need a lot of a tail on this. Then sew from the tail end towards your needle end up through the 3 to form a loop. This. And then sew through the first one again, okay, in order to form like a triangle, okay? So you should have something like this. I'm going to turn my triangle upside down so that I have 1 on the bottom and 2 on the top right now. Okay, pick up 1 red bead, go through the first white bead. So the thread's coming out, my working thread here. So we're going to be working in a anti-clockwise, counterclockwise position. Now, if you want to make a pair of earrings where one spiral goes one way, the other spiral goes the other, you're going to have to, before you start working on the ball, flip it over and work in the other direction. Otherwise, the spiral will be the same on both earrings, like both spiraling to the right, okay? Just a little FYI. Okay, so there's the bead that we put in. I'm going to pick up another red bead. Go ahead, go into the next white bead. Turn. So little, okay. And pick up the 3rd red bead and sew into the 3rd white bead. So you should now have a little triangle that looks like this. And you're coming out of a white bead. We need to step up into the red bead to do the next round. Okay, the next round you're going to pick up 1 red bead and 1 white bead. Okay, and you're going to sew into the next red bead. So skip this white one, just go straight into the next red. And you're going to do that 3 times, so just keep turning. Number 2. 1 red, 1 white, and into the next red bead here, and then you can go ahead and step up into that 2nd red bead. Okay. So now we have this. 1 red bead. Go ahead, sew into the white bead. So 1 red bead first. Sew into the white bead. Then you're going to pick up 2 white beads. Okay. And sew into this sort of more sticking out red bead right here. Now we're going to pick up 1 red bead, go into the white bead, and 2 white beads. Go into the 2nd red bead right here. 1 red bead into the white bead, two white beads. Now we're going into this second one because this one was just added in this round. We're finishing this round, so pretend it's not there. So we're going into the second red bead here. Okay, and then step up into the third. Okay. Now we're going to pick up 1 red bead. You're going to sew into this white bead right here. So that would be like if there were 2 that we added the last round, you're sewing into the first one. I'm going to pick up another white bead. We're going to sew into the second white bead and pick up a white bead and sew into this like farthest sticking out red bead. Okay. Pick up a red bead, sew into this second white bead here. One white bead into the next white bead, and one more white bead into this red bead. Okay, this is our third one, so this is where we're going to step up in a second. So get your red bead, go into the second white bead, and try and push the beads back towards their similar color. Okay, one white bead, go into the next white bead, and this is where we're just going to step up here. So one white bead, you're not going in this far over one, you're going in this one and that one. Okay, so go through these 2. Okay, so now we're ready to kind of get into our repeating pattern that's going to repeat most of the way up the bead. All right, which is this. 1 red, go into the next sticking out white, 1 white, go into the next sticking out white, 1 white. So we're going to go red, white, white, and sew into the sticking out red. We're going to do that 3 times. So red, white, white. Here we go again. Number 2, red, white, white, and one more time, red, white. Some of these beads are tiny, so I'm trying to not pick those ones up. And this is our last one. And then we're stepping up here, so we're going to skip this one and go through these 2 red beads. Okay, and that's going to be your pattern. So you're going to go red, white, white, red, white, white, red, white, white, step up. Okay, so your piece is probably starting to cup a little bit now. You can kind of see it's curving on me. I can still flatten it out. At this point, we're going to start working around our beads so that we get our tension correct. If you've already made one going this direction and you want to make one going the other direction, you're going to flip it inside out and you're going to put your tail through the center of the hole, and you're going to put it on your bead this way and work in the opposite direction. However, I'm just going to make mine the same as that one for now, because I think it'll be easier for you guys to follow. So what I'm going to do is make sure you have something on it that'll stop this from going through the beadwork. Now, the reason we didn't tie a knot at the beginning is because we have to get through these 3 beads, and they're very close together. And if you have tied a knot, you may not be able to loosen it enough to get it in between those 3 central beads. It can be quite tricky. See, I had to kind of force it there. So that's why we're not tying a knot at the beginning, because we're trying to get the tension right. Okay, so once you've got it on there, you can add your bead. And once you've got your bead on, you can kind of pull it, and it should start to form around your bead. Okay, so now this gives you something to hold on to while you're working as well, which kind of makes it easier. And I just let my tail dangle here, you know, it usually doesn't get in the way. Okay, so we just did, we're going to be doing red, white, white, red, white, white, red, white, white, step up. And we're going to do that basically until we get to about here on the bead. Okay, so this is round 1. I'll do it with you, and then I'll do some speed beading. So red into the kind of sticking up white, and here push it back so it's next to its friend. Okay, so red, white, white, well, saying that my tail didn't get in the way, now it's just got in the way. So that was my first set of 3, so red, white, white, or as I like to say, 1, 2, 3, then 2, into the white, into the red. So 2, 2, 3. And if you're confused about which beads you're sewing into, it's the ones that are kind of sticking up beyond their friend. So I know it's kind of hard to see with the lights, but so that's down. So you're going to sew into this one, and then, well, we're stepping up here, but that one and that one. So this is my 3rd set. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and here I'm stepping up, so I'm going into the second to last red bead and then stepping up. And if you're not sure if it's stepping up, you'll see 3 red beads in a row, and that means you need to step up through 2. You should only normally see 2 if it's like the first or second round. Okay, I'm just going to do some speed beading for you, and I'll stop when I get up to here. So just keep going, 1 red, 2 white. So red, white, white, red, white, white, red, white, white, step up. Red, white, white, red, white, white, red, white, white, step up. Okay, I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, so I'm not sure if that was even in focus or not, but hopefully it was. So it can be a little fiddly trying to hold on to this thing, but at some point you're going to get to a point where it's more fitted around it and it's not so bad. So I probably have another 2 rows to go until we're going to stop and start decreasing. I will count how many red I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're probably going to need 12 or 13 rows. Unless you're using slightly bigger seed beads, you might need less than that. Really, it depends on the size of your seed beads because they do vary. Even if they're called size 11, they do vary brand by brand. So that's why I'm not giving you an exact count. I'm just saying we need to leave like a couple rows here basically. So also when I'm working, I don't know if you could tell on the time lapse, probably not. I'm going, some of these gaps, there's quite a lot of thread. Just push it back against the bead. That's like where it should sit. So like here, see it's sitting in between these two, but that's not the row for that one, it's there. So just push it back so that it sits where you want it to sit. You're the boss of the beads, okay? Just try and get them to sit where they're supposed to sit, and they will. They will comply if you just push them around a little bit, okay? I'm going to just quickly keep going here. So 1 red bead, a white bead, and a white bead. And I'm also kind of pulling a little bit up to kind of help space out the beads a little bit better. Okay, so 1, 2, and then this is my stepping up point. Yeah, I'm gonna do another 1 or 2 rows. Basically you want to leave about 2 bead widths here. So I'm gonna do maybe 2 more rows and I'll come back to you. Okay, so now is the time that I'm gonna stop. So when I hold my thing sideways, it's basically level with the top, it's just not closed up. And I also gave it a bit of a tug and it kind of stretched over a little bit. So now I'm ready to start my decrease. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to pick up a red, just like we have been doing. So into the next white bead, and then a white, and we're going to sew into the next white bead, and then we're just gonna not add a bead here, we're gonna sew straight into the next red bead. Okay, so we only did a red and a white, and then we kind of did a gap. And then again, we're gonna do a red, and then a white, and then just skip straight into the next red bead. So a gap, okay? And one more time, a red, a white, actually, here's where I'm stepping up, so I'm going to sew into these two. Okay, because I'm stepping up here. So that's my third gap. Okay, and if you kind of pull in a bit, it'll help you. Okay, so now we're going to pick up a red bead, sew into the white bead. A red bead, sorry, a white bead, sew into the next red bead. Had a senior moment there. A red bead into the white bead, a white bead into the red bead, a red bead into the white bead, and a white bead into the red bead. Oh, actually we're stepping up, so into these two red beads here. Okay. And then we just have 3 more beads to add, which are white beads. So go ahead, pick up a white bead. I'm going to sew into this red bead over here. Another white bead. Sew into the next red bead over here. One more white bead. And sew into the next red bead here. And then try and pull those 3 beads into the center. And then what I like to do is go through those 3 beads a couple times. So I'm going to go around 1, just sewing in those 3 central beads to pull them together. And again. Okay, so now I'm going to sew back down to the bottom and tie off my bead. While I'm going there, I'm going to leave it on my head pin, but I'll have to take it off in a minute. I just don't want to risk the hole moving. So I love these little beads. They kind of remind me of like the Grinch or something. Kind of grinchy, right? Anyway, okay. So to do that, I'm coming out of one of the white beads. I'm just going to follow a diagonal line here. So like this red bead here, then this white bead, then this red bead, and I'm going to just kind of follow the beads till I get down to the bottom of my bead. Where I will meet my other bead. Yeah. I mean my other thread, not my other bead. Okay, I'm just going to take this out because it's confusing me. Okay. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to go into this red bead. There's kind of no wrong path here. Just make your way down with as little thread in the way as you can manage. Okay, so these 2 beads are next to each other, the bead that my thread's coming out of and the bead I'm coming out of. So I'm just going to tie a square knot, so right over left, left over right, and then I'm just going to sew away from where I tied the knot. It doesn't matter what beads I go into, I just want to get away from the knot a little bit. So again, just kind of follow the pattern of the beads. Cut that off. And then I'm going to rethread my other end and do the same thing going in the opposite direction. And I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I tied off my thread. So here is my bead, top and bottom. Now I'm hoping I haven't lost my hole. So I'm going to grab my head pin, and I have these bead caps that I'm using on mine. I mean, obviously you can finish yours however you want to. So I'm gonna poke it through there, poke it through there. Good, my hole stayed where it was supposed to. It's a real pain if your hole like slides slightly and you have to dig around for it. Okay, I have another bead cap for the top. And then I have some smaller bead caps here that I'm going to put around my fire polished bead. Slip those on. Okay. Now I just need to make what's called a wrapped loop. So I have here my round nose pliers. I'm gonna hold it as tight down against the bottom as I can get it. And I usually hold it about that distance away. Bend over, but not 90 degrees, more than 45, but not 90, okay? And then you adjust your pliers up to where the bend is. You're gonna wrap it over, and then you'll have to adjust again and kind of sneak it through there. Okay, so there is the beginning of my loop. It looks pretty centered, so I'm happy with that. So now I like to use bent nose pliers because it kind of holds them more out of the way while I'm doing my wrap. I'm going to grab my trusty needle nose pliers here, and I'm going to wrap around. As tightly, I'm pulling really tightly here. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to get my flesh cutters. I have to be careful not to accidentally cut or bend these bead caps. That actually happened the first time I did that earring. I completely squashed the bead cap and I had to redo it. All right, that looks pretty good. I am going to just grab these and I'm going to then tuck in the end a little bit better. Just kind of wrap it around a little bit better so that there's nothing sharp coming out here. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, and then these earrings, you can actually open them. They have a teeny tiny little gap, which you might be able to see there, right there. So you can actually just open them up. I'm gonna make that be the back. Just gonna wiggle this closed. That looks pretty good. I can just put my earring back on. And that's it, I've finished. I think they're really pretty. They're kind of whimsical but elegant, which is what I like about them. So anyway, I hope you try this project and I hope you like it. And if you do try it and you do like it, let me know. And yeah, this is actually, I looked it up, my eighth Christmas project. So 8th or 9th. Oh, now I'm questioning. Was it my 8th or my 9th? Anyway, so come back again next year for my next one. Take care, guys. Bye for now. Thank you for watching.